So a useful thing to do with talents is look at what the gold cost of that item would be, or what it's effectively equivalent to in terms of skill points, right?
True.
So how much gold does 5 armor cost you? Hey guys, welcome back to weekly coaching. This is week 18. Last week the homework was to keep practicing axe sanking, maybe Tidehunter, and look for cases where you can go a different direction in a lane matchup. Maybe like skilling in a different order or itemizing in a different way, or playing the lane strategically in a different way, like committing your spells for certain things versus other things, right? So let's see how it went for the past week. What's the MMR now, Dookie?
Our MMR is at 2633.
633. Okay, nice. You're up like almost 100 from last week. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice. And
Yeah, we've been definitely having some success with making some changes.
yeah, I noticed you played a butt ton of Underlord games.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Underlord was like, I don't know, I just got a real big itch to play him.
Yeah.
I used to play him a lot, and he's always pretty consistent for me. Like I mean, it was okay. Like I ended up going even in
Yeah.
the amount of games I played with him.
Yeah, it's
But
perfectly
a
even.
lot of yeah, but a lot of those games, like the losses were really stupid. They were just like dumb things that people did, or
Hmm.
the one thing that I don't really like about Underlord in this rank is like it's so hard for me to get value out of my ult because no one wants to gather for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you like we could walk to this fight, or we could just ult to it and then have 30% damage reduction.
Yeah, I feel like Underlord is like conceptually a really strong hero, and then just feels like a complete wet noodle in an actual game because like it's hard to feel the effects of his passive. It's hard to get value out of the ult. The root is just a root, and the Q is like only good if it's comboed with other things or it's against certain types of heroes. So he just feels
Yeah.
like super duper. I don't know, hit or miss.
He
He's boring
yeah,
too, right? That's the other problem with him.
well, the thing I do like is I feel when I play Underlord that like I'm controlling the game a lot. Like I'm
Okay.
controlling the fight. I'm not really. I could be doing the damage depending on like what you do with your Q and stuff, but for the most part, I'm making sure this person ends up here. I'm kind of like taking space with Q. Depending on the items I have, I'm like smashing auras and stuff.
Hmm.
So that feels good,
Okay.
but I just like I don't know. Yeah, certain games where I'm like, dude, had you guys just gathered, like we lost that fight by such a small margin. Like 30% damage reduction is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Okay, so aside from Underlord, then, like, how'd the other games feel? Tidehunter, Darkseer, Sand King?
all those felt really good.
Those are all just solid, easy wins.
Yeah, these are all. See, these are all kind of more comfort picks.
Okay.
Like Darkseer, I've played a ton of. Darkseer is a little weird now because they took all the stuff that was like an Ags and kind of spread it around his like kit.
Oh, okay.
Um, and like made his old shard his new Ags.
Oh,
So
weird.
yeah, it's really strange feeling, but I mean he's still really fucking good. Like it feels like it takes a bit to get him going, but and you got to be smart, really smart about the ult. But like we had, I was with a void. It was so easy just to like, okay, he chronoed 3 people, throw down my ult, and then vacuum them into the middle.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
cool. Okay. Yeah, I've always enjoyed Darkseer too. He's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
So any aside from these like Underlord games, you just felt like they were like stupid losses or anything like that? Like any trends you were noticing, like consistent issues you were having, or things you kept running into, you had questions on, or anything like that?
I mean, like with the Underlord games, it was just kind of finishing out sometimes was hard. Um, not any huge trends. Like the trend was really just like kind of playing the style of um heroes feels better. But I guess it would just be like I need like if I'm playing a character, like I need to be able to get the most out of them. So
Yeah,
it's like if I'm not getting ults off, like probably shouldn't be playing them.
that's fair.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
there's a major part of its kit that I'm just like not able to do because of skill or because it just takes too much coordination, it's just not worth playing.
Yeah, yeah. I could agree with that. That's how Bane feels to me. Like
Yeah.
I feel like
Like
once I hit 6 with Bane, I have like this massive freaking impact, and before that, I'm like, what do I do with these shitty spells? Like
yeah.
walking around like click, doesn't do
Yeah.
anything. So I don't pick him for that reason. Lion is a little bit like that too, because you got
Yeah.
Hex and Mana Drain, which are not very good spells at all.
Yeah.
Ooh, woo! But yeah. Okay. So which game do you want to look at then?
It's gonna be a little hard to find. It's one of the wins. I think it's the second win when I first start playing. So
Second Underlord win?
yeah,
Okay.
this is one where I went for kind of a weirder build.
Okay. All right. So this game, so you play weird build. So this would tie into the homework from before, right? So going a different direction in
Yeah,
lane, and then also the homework from week 15, experimenting with
yeah,
items and skill point orders, right, and stuff like that.
yeah.
Okay.
So I saw that they had um PL, they
Hmm.
had what's his name? Herc Warden, they had Windrunner and Monkey King.
Hmm.
So I felt like this is a weird situation where Radiant seems like a really good item.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a lot of right click stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot
Shivas
of right
too.
click.
Shivas
I'm
Radiance.
helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. It's also damaging like all the illusions and stuff.
Hmm.
And so I kind of realized like with like the other items, like I'm already like hard to kill, so I just need to double down on that. And so I've got heart too.
Okay. All right.
So I'm just like walking, like they can't really damage me. I'm fucking up the illusions. My Q is fucking them up.
Yeah.
And then I got even later, I got the martyr plate.
Did you feel like that was actually a helpful item?
I kind of liked it. I
Okay.
think it helped a little bit because I was able, because like, I mean, like other offlaners, I normally would be like, this is too much. Like I'm gonna end up like, but it felt kind of good to be able to like walk into the fight. No one wants to fucking hit me because I'm hard to hit, and then I
Yeah.
just like take up damage that they are trying to give to my teammates.
Yeah, it's like a forced taunt mechanic in a way, right?
Yeah,
That's kind of neat. All right, let's have a look at this one
yeah.
then. So, what would be the questions for this one then?
Um, I don't know. I mean, this game kind of like went well with
Your turn to
um the item build and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, um I guess is it like maybe was it like actually good or was there like a route with the items that I could have gone to end like earlier? Because I think this game goes on for like an hour. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, was the weird choice actually did it pay off? Right.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, like what else could you have like itemized or done differently to end the game earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So, were item choices actually impactful? And how could we have closed game out earlier?
Yeah, and also, a question.
Hmm.
I don't know if I do. I think I might do it this game, but I wanted to get your thoughts on. I've been taking the ult. Was taking it at 6 to try
Okay.
and be like, all right, I'm at 6. Like, I'm using this to like rotate. We go for a kill, like a surprise, kind of like behind them. I wanted. I saw some people talking about doing that, so I wanted to see what you thought about that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of if it's one of those things where it's like if you do it and it works, it's great, but you probably don't usually you're not going to need to do it. So like, so we're just going to say like ult on 6, good idea. And this is, I would say, similar to like a Terrorblade taking Sunder early, or Medusa taking their ult early, where if they don't end up using it for several levels anyway, then they probably shouldn't have done it. But if they do take it and it's super clutch and it gets them a kill or saves their life, then it's like an awesome choice, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would never say someone like, you shouldn't have taken your ult. That was clearly a mistake because you didn't need to use it. Because like, what if you did need to use it? You don't know how the game's gonna go, right?
Yeah.
But in Underlord's case, his ultimate doesn't synergize with his playstyle typically, because normally his playstyle is to show up in a lane and drain all your damage and slowly damage you down and push the wave, right? He's like Necrophos. It's just like, he's just a pain in the ass to be near. So he's just kind of like a lane dominator, like lane presence, like an occupying hero. And the ability to just teleport across the map has nothing to do with that, except you get to go somewhere faster, right? So it's like, I don't know, like imagine if you put Underlord's ult on like Legion Commander, like how much that would actually help her playstyle versus like Underlord like almost can't even use it, so it's kind of strange. So yeah, I think it's a valid question. Let's see how this goes. Your items make sense too. You don't need a wand here. That's all fine.
And laning with Underlord always feels good. You just kind of occupy space and
yeah, and I think people would I think some people might disagree, but I like that you didn't start with E here. You started with Firestorm, because then you have a way to start, immediately using your mana, right? Which is good.
Yeah.
It's much more impactful than getting a little bit of extra damage or taking a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
From them, I mean. Okay. Maybe using it a little bit too much, though, simply because you're already out of mana. Maybe like one less cast of this would be a little bit better optimized. Dude, I get the same bug happening with that shit. I don't know what it is. It happens to me like every time.
It is interesting though using it, because I think it's like one of those things that's become like sort of common knowledge for people, like oh, don't stand in Underlord's Q because it does a lot of damage if you stand in it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I can just like throw it down, people will instantly leave, and I can just start denying.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that's always good then. I think this is also a lane where if this Invoker was playing with you more, if you took your root, say on like level 4 or 5, you could potentially just kill this PL.
Yeah.
You just killed him there anyway. But you actually do have a lot of kill threat on him. Because Firestorm just does so much damage.
Yeah.
I think this is fine too. But it could have been an option, right?
Yeah. No, I have been thinking about them. Some games might be better to earlier.
Nice. Okay, we didn't take the ult on 6 here. So are you thinking like this is a game where maybe you should have taken the ult on 6, or you're just curious about it?
I'm just curious about it. I couldn't honestly remember if I took it on 6 here.
Yeah.
But it's been something like I've seen like some people talking about Underlord and like, oh, you should try and like get value out of it by trying to like do a surprise gank, because it's so hard to get value out of.
Yeah.
I would. The only way to get like early value, because you're not gonna add 10 minutes. Fucking. All right, let's group up.
Well, that's I think when you would usually use it more later in the game, right? Let me turn you up just a little bit. I think everything else is louder than you now for some reason. There we go. Well, that's so one way to play around that is just not taking the ultimate, right? So if it's really hard to get value out of it, just don't bother, and then it's like nothing wasted.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I think it really, like, it's 200 mana is sort of the problem with that. Like, it's a third of your mana. So if it doesn't get you anything, that's like less firestorms, you know, you get
Yeah.
to do. So
And it's also such like a high cooldown.
yeah, which is not a big deal because if the spell was useless anyway, then who cares, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like quite an investment. I'd have to play more Underlord, like a
Yeah.
lot more Underlord, to get a feel for like, oh, I could have ulted up there. Like maybe, you know,
Yeah.
up here when this is happening, you could rotate on that or something. Like, because I think if you're asking that question, then you're just talking about like, oh, is there any point in the game where I could have like teleported in it at for it took 3.5 seconds to just show up here? Like maybe this is one of them. You know, the Legion's overextending. I could just jump up here. Yeah, but maybe this Legion commander's just out of position, and it's just better for you to sit here and pressure this lane more. Like that seems better anyway. Because it, like, I mean, if you picture it, like, if you did ult up here right now, like, maybe you show up and die, and then this tower doesn't die because you did that movement, right? Like, the only way it's like kind of nothing bad happened is if you jump up here, and then you're allowed to just like take the gate right back again, and then it's like nothing happened, and then it's just to cost you 200 mana to do nothing. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I mean, some of the best gates I've gotten have just been like, we're losing this fight, let's get the fuck out of here.
Sure, yeah, that's always a good use for it too. I think like theoretically his ultimate's amazing though if you are coordinated, you know, if you like smoke everybody and like jump into their
like,
triangle or something, right?
We lost one game. I can't remember which game it was, but we lost one because we were fighting for their last racks. They had no tower, and the team just walked up to them and took the fight. And I'm like, why would we not just teleport on top of their racks? Either potentially take it before like they can react, or they react and we have damage reduction.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's risky because if you don't have vision of where you're jumping to, then potentially they have time to like set up on the gate.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. No, now it gives damage reduction when you go through it, so it's actually a potential like initiation tool.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they must have added that in the last patch. I didn't notice that. So yeah, then in that case, yeah, if you could get your team to do it, it would be great.
Yeah, and you have bonus movement speed.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
So.
But again, it is risky, you know, because you jump in and they're just like get to set up on you. Or the other thing that happens is they see that the gate's coming in and they just walk away.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It has to be like for. That's why I think you have to kind of pose it around like objectives.
Yeah.
You know, like a situation like that where it's like either they fight us here at a disadvantage or like we just take a huge objective, you know?
Yeah.
Those are the situations where Fiend's Gate seems the best.
I agree. I think it's best for
forcing
objectives.
a reaction, you know?
Yeah, I think it's best for objectives. I think the nicest or the coolest way to use it is to like turn your entire team into a Nature's Prophet. So like you all push one lane and then you just gate everybody to the next lane. Like say you know like you're pushing down here and then they all react, you know, and everyone shows up and so you go back over here and then you just like gate to top and then take this tower. Because you all have one more teleport scroll than they do, and like if you use it that way, I think that's like the most interesting way to use it, and I never see people use it that way.
Yeah.
So it might just be a case of like, yeah, it's kind of that element of him in pub games is just wasted because
that's how it really feels. Because it's like no one wants to wait there for you to figure out, okay, like this is the best place to put it, and then we have to like go wait for 3 seconds to get there, and you know.
Yeah, just like smoke ganks, right?
Yeah.
Like, theoretically, it's great, but if no one wants to do it, it's not good, right?
Getting people to fucking smoke is already hard, so.
Right. Right. Well, so then if that's the case, then maybe you just kind of use it for your own purposes. So maybe one thing you could do with him is play him more like a Dawnbreaker, you know?
Yeah.
So, like...
That's what I've been thinking. Like, it's a way for me to farm and then show up to a fight whenever.
Yeah, and that's not dependent on anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Like you could be over here farming this, and then I mean I know this is a tower push.
Yeah.
You could be over here farming this, and then oh my god, a fight, and you just jump yourself in.
Yeah.
Or allow them to jump out, whatever.
The only thing that sucks about that is that you basically lose that value of like the buff that comes with it, because it's like, okay, you showed up, who the fuck wants to hit you anyways?
Yeah, but it's not about that. It would just be about like
Yeah.
now you're here where otherwise you weren't here, right?
Right.
So I wouldn't worry about
Yeah,
that.
it just sucks that, it becomes a lot less efficient. But
Sure,
what are you gonna do?
I mean, like, keep in mind, I didn't even know that was on there because I'm used to this just being a teleport,
Yeah.
right? And actually, I'm used to it being just a teleport that only goes on to creeps,
Yeah.
the way it used to be. And
Yeah,
it still
yeah.
was, like, kind of a shitty spell and still had some uses, and they were kind of the
Yeah.
same uses.
Yeah. It is an interesting thing to be like, oh, this person escaped, but they're right. We know they're in this area. You could just kind of TP there and try and
Sure.
grab.
Yeah, it definitely gives your team a lot of mobility. I think it's one of those things where the spell is better if you're winning.
Yeah.
You have more liberty to like play a little loose and like split up more and take risky fights when you're ahead,
Yeah.
and that's where the spell is the most useful.
Yeah.
It's not super useful when you're behind and you have to like sit on high ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so far it's like pretty fine. I mean,
I think that's the biggest problem with the spell is just like its best use is like not like obvious,
yeah.
aside from like, if you could perfectly coordinate, which is just not realistic.
Yeah, I'd also say like Underlord is not a hero that like scares me like ever.
Yeah.
I'm never scared of an Underlord. Like I mean, in games where he's like doing really well, he just becomes unkillable and it's annoying. But it's not like a Mars or
Yeah.
a Night Stalker or whatever where I'm like, oh shit, where is this guy? I'm
Yeah.
gonna die instantly. Because like while he does a lot of damage over time, he doesn't like he doesn't have like surprise factor. He's not like high impact, you know.
No, yeah, that's the thing. I think the surprise factor for him is that people like ignore, and then you get your items, which makes your team incredibly hard to fight, and then you get your shard, which all of a sudden like you're shitting out more damage than they realize.
Sure, but that's an inexperience thing, right? That's
Yeah.
that's not like how the hero functions.
Yeah, I mean that
right?
is true. That's kind of stuff I'm getting away with because of the ring.
Right. Like an axe with blink, you don't see the axe, but maybe he
Right.
blinks on you and kills you. But with like an Underlord with blink, you're like, maybe I get rooted, whatever.
Yeah.
You're not scared of it, you know.
That's why it's also like sometimes it's the interesting thing I think about him is just the build is a lot more freeform. Maybe that's like a thing I should have mentioned is like with Underlord, I feel like there's a lot of different builds like go. So like another build that I went was getting Rod of Atos.
Yeah, that's
And
a
that
common
way,
one.
that's like I did that when they had like a bunch of escape.
Yep.
So then you're just like keeping somebody down. That felt good. So
Yeah, I'd say I was thinking about it because in this game, you actually don't need the rod in this game in particular because you
Yeah.
have so much lockdown already, so it's fine. And their heroes are not like, besides PL, I guess Windrunner a little bit too. They're not like super mobile, so it's like, yeah, you don't need it this game. So I'm glad you didn't buy it this game, but in other games, sure, yeah, it could be super useful. And then in those games, you would also want to level up your Pit of Malice like faster.
yeah,
You want that catch, right? Maybe you sacrifice points in Atrophy Aura to do that.
yeah. I honestly wonder if like he didn't, because the old thing about him that was cool was that you kept that extra bonus damage, so then you basically were like Legion.
I don't think he worked like that. I think it was a Slark buff. It was just kind of like temporary damage. I don't remember it ever being permanent.
At one point, I'm pretty sure it was permanent when he first came out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Then he'd be much better as a hero.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like atrophy aura. I don't know. It's just not that great. Like I mean sometimes like I nuke a bunch of creep waves and walk up to a tower and I'm like, okay, this is hitting pretty well, but like past that, you know,
Yeah.
you're never just sitting there fucking hitting somebody, and even if you are, it's like, yeah, you're chunking them, but like it's, you know, you're not doing it fast. So,
Yeah, I've tried like right-click Underlord builds too, just to try and
yeah.
exploit the atrophy aura, and it's fun, but it's not good. Like this
Yeah.
hero is just, I don't like this hero. I think this hero is boring, low impact, slow, not that interesting, which sucks because I was really excited for like when he got announced and like seeing the concept art for him. I'm like, ooh, cool, Pit Lord, that's sweet. And then you play him, and you're like, ugh, this is great, you know. So that's an example. You could have used it there. I mean, I know you're
Yeah.
taking the gate, but you don't have TP, and he's pushing this tower. You could just
Yeah.
this could be a good gate opportunity, even though it's right next to a freaking twin gate. You know, jump right here and just get on top of this guy.
Yeah. Oh, this is something. I don't know why I didn't just fucking check this myself, but somebody said that when you gate, it shows up on their map even if it's not in vision.
Yes, I don't know if that's still a. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's intentional, but that was
Yeah.
happening for a while, which also made it even worse because you could just see
Yeah.
where the hell he was jumping in.
Because I think that makes it a lot better too if you can sneak it. If you can sneak it and all of a sudden there's 5 enemies that you didn't know coming out of the trees, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe we could test it. Let
Yeah.
me see real quick. So that's what I can see. Yeah, I can see the gate and I can see the exit in fog.
That sucks.
So yes, they can always see it. Which is
Yeah. That's a rough one.
pretty poop. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, can't really surprise people unless they're not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's weird because I know it's a spell that with too like the wrong tuning could make it way too strong. You know, like if you could just come out it like instantly,
Yeah.
that would be pretty crazy. But it just feels tuned into an area where it's like too hard to get good value out of. Whereas I could just play fucking Sand King and fucking slam on people, you know?
Yeah, the stuns are good.
Yeah, I just stun and then fucking throw down my like ult that does a shit ton of damage, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'd much rather have a Sand King on my team than an Underlord. Underlord's super boring. Yeah, this would be an opportunity. You could have gated this. That would have been good. It would have saved that tower. Maybe killed him. Just using it like that, like you were saying, for objectives. You know, even if he sees it and it forces him to back up, that's fine too. So like this could be an instance in here, right? So if you get your team to push here, and then either you think you're strong enough to like take the fight, and that's fine. Or if for whatever reason you're not strong enough to take the fight and they all rotate, then you just go out here and like, okay, let's all gate top and or go gate to middle and push this in, or gate to top and push this in, and then like it's better if the waves are all pushed. Like again, the spell is better if you're winning. But let's say all the waves are pushed in, you know, you come over here and you force them to respond, and then you just jump up here, and now they can't respond because they already responded to this. That's probably like the best way to use it for an objective. Obviously, your whole team needs to be like listening to you and vibing, and you need to already be winning, so it's not that great. So if you're losing, you're just going to use it to like escape from stuff or to do like solo ganks, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like this is very helpful. Is this helpful at all?
I mean, I kind of like it's. I think it's reaffirming how I kind of felt.
Yeah.
Playing like, there's a lot of aspects I really do enjoy. Like I enjoy playing, like, characters that don't die very easily, you know, that you really got to focus down, or like, you know, just have like a lot of survivability. I like that he has like a big root. I like that he has a way of damaging an area that like kind of controls the space, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't all add up to something that's like, yeah, really spectacular.
Well, it might be that this hero is more, or maybe he should be thought of as more of a counter pick, because like if you look at what his kit does, your Firestorm is specifically good against people with high health because of the max HP burn.
Yeah.
So you'd want to pick him against strength heroes. The root is specifically good against mobility and no magic immunity. So it's shit against Lifestealer, shit against Juggernaut, right? Better against like a Weaver or something like that. But a lot of strength heroes don't have a lot of mobility, so this would like be specifically good against like an Earth Spirit or a Tusk or a Clockwork.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of true because of it, his new Ags too kind of leans into that.
With the enemy slow, right? And then also you know, reducing damage and giving yourself damage. It's actually the same thing here, where like giving yourself damage doesn't matter if you can't catch people. Like if you're fighting a team of 5 drows, you don't get any benefit out of that bonus damage because you never get into melee with them. So you're only getting the damage reduction benefit out of it. So it's once again good against melee shit that you're allowed to punch or towers, right?
Yeah.
So I think this hero, the best way to think of him is he's like an anti-melee mobility space occupying objective controlling hero.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly specific, right?
Yeah.
And I think the reason people are picking him so much is because he is generally kind of tanky, and he's a lot. He just gets to build all the auras, and also he just doesn't really like. I don't know. I don't really know how to put it. There's not like any reason to buy the other flashier items on him. So like with it, like okay, a Mars without a blink is strong, right? But a Mars with a blink is incredibly strong. That's a huge power spike for him. But Underlord with a blink is still like okay, his root is a little bit more scary, but really like that's not, it doesn't change that much if he can blink like that, or like if he picks up a BKB, doesn't really matter because he just kind of casts his 2 spells, and then you don't really care if he gets CC'd. So this hero's kit is so incredibly average that he doesn't even get like a lot of benefit out of these big ticket items that other heroes get. Like all he is just like reliable. You know?
I think that's the thing, is he just like it. Well, I will say the good thing about him is you farm incredibly fast.
Yeah, right.
And so like I'm consistently hitting really quick timings with like hype and Crimson Guard.
Mm-hmm. Which is similar to why Doom was popular. It's actually the same freaking reason why people are picking a lot of Doom, right? It's like, oh, this hero farms decently. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, historically, offlane heroes have gone through a bit of an ebb and a flow where sometimes, depending on the meta, the offlaners that are popular simply because they get to lane where other heroes get booted out of lane. And so it's like you're just looking for consistency there, right? And then with other is this still streaming? Are we good? Oh, did you crash? I think you crashed. You good?
Yeah,
It did something to your mic.
Oh, it's because computer Discord is being weird, so I'm just using my phone.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Okay, so what I was saying was like based on like past metas, the offlaners that are popular are usually like popular because simply because they get to survive in the offlane where other heroes don't get to do that as much, right?
Yeah.
And that's like kind of where Underlord fits, is he's just like a big blob. It's just hard to kick him out, and that's really it. Same with like Necrophos and stuff like that. And then other offlaners, like depending on what it is, are like offer this like insane threat to your team, but then typically don't have the greatest laning phase, and that would be things like Night Stalker, Spirit Breaker, maybe Mars. You know, could fall into that boat. Legion Commander, right? Although she does have a crazy lane phase right now, but it's like you put them here because they don't need a lot, but like they get to get active really early and create like a lot of kill threat on the map. Like they don't want to just lane forever. They want to like get their items and then get out there and go gank and shit like that. So Underlord doesn't fall into that category at all. He's purely like an I'm in your lane and this sucks for you guy.
Yeah, I think but again, it's like another thing that relies on a lot of coordination. Like if you hit good timings, like, you know, you can pick up your Vanguard and pick up a pipe and stuff, and then be like, all right, we need to fight now. Like, we're super strong, but they can't really damage us.
Yeah.
But that, again, that relies on a level of coordination that's just like not really there.
Yeah, and also the problem with these like aura building offlaners is like all of these auras are useless if you're not next to a bunch of heroes. Like the aura gets stronger, quote unquote. It gets more valuable the more heroes it's affecting, right? So specifically, aura building offlaners like want to be in like 5v5s all the time.
Right.
And if you're in a bracket where it's really hard to get people to group up, or the whole game is just split pushing, then obviously the aura builders kind of suck. They just don't perform well there. And, you know, like again, they don't offer much kill threat. So I don't know. I'm not surprised that your games just went like 50-50 on this guy, because it's everything we've talked about. I would just avoid him. I mean, I know he's like meta right now, but I think he's quote unquote meta because at the highest levels, like people do group up, and you know, having a pipe 2 minutes earlier than the enemy team actually does make a difference. Whereas like it just doesn't here. Like everybody is playing so inefficiently and like missing their skill shots and doing stupid item builds and losing lanes that they're not supposed to, and all this like crap is happening. It's like you buy the pipe and it like doesn't even matter. Like you either didn't need it to win, or like even if you buy it when you're losing, it doesn't make a big difference.
Yeah.
So
that is kind of the question I had with like the Radiance in this game. I was like, it did, like, I don't know. I mean, it felt good because we won, but was it actually like?
It's hard to say, like, because I don't know. We'd have to look at every fight you're involved in where you have Radiance and kind of like pay attention to the damage it's doing and how often people are missing. Like, it's hard to quantify an item like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. When did you get it? Jesus Christ. I should just be smart and do this. Okay. Okay, 28-minute Radiance. Right around here. This was the first fight you had it in. Go back further. Okay. I think we've just got, this is the first fight where you should have your Radiance, right? Here's an example of what I'm talking about, right? So you're showing up to this fight and you don't have any mana anyway. So you have this Radiance timing. It's like really good. That should be making a big difference. But then you don't have enough mana to even use all your spells.
Right.
And Pudge doesn't either. And it's, I mean, he's getting mana drained. But Legion's not here. Pangalier's already dead, and this isn't even a full 5v5. So it's like it's really hard to gauge like how impactful this item choice is when this is what the fights look like. I'm not trying to flame. Right. I'm just saying like
I feel you.
Like it's not even in optimum conditions, right? So I mean we can still look at it though and see like if it is making a difference, but I would say in general like item timings and stuff like that, like power spikes are less important and have less of an impact, or they're harder to utilize the lower you go, right? Because of all these things I just mentioned. So like everything else
what do you mean
needs
by the lower?
Well, like the lower MMR you are, the less this crap matters.
Yeah.
So let's see. Did you know you can do this, by the way? Let me pause real quick. Did you know about this right here? So you can go to the scoreboard and you can go to combat log.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah. So what we could do is we could say Underlord. And we can look at like this is in the future and then this is in the past here. So if we let the fight run really slowly, you can watch this combat log and see what it does. Go down here. So like Underlord hits PL for 130 damage. Underlord hits PL with Radiance for 36 damage. And then it's showing the health change over here, right?
Yeah.
I wish it would keep this updated constantly. So you can kind of see like what it's actually doing. It's, I mean, like in this instance, it's forcing PL to run away. Windrunner doesn't seem to care at all. So yeah, that's let's just pause real quick. So I don't know. Radiance procced how many times there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It hit a bunch of stuff. But not really doing that much because most of the time it's just proccing for like 39 damage, right? Because of people's magic resistance and stuff. So in this instance, not super impactful, I wouldn't say, but it did make the PL run away, like he had to leave. So that was because he was definitely getting burnt down by it. You could see that. But we'll just, I wish I could move this window. But yeah, you can also set the time interval, so like what it's doing like every minute or whatever, 30 seconds. You can set all this stuff here. It's actually really interesting to watch like how this stuff breaks down, specifically with dots.
That is cool.
Like a Crystal Maiden route, like looking at how the damage ticks are actually working. It's kind of interesting. I don't see anyone ever really talk about this or use this much, but it's kind of cool.
That's cool. You can also like filter it by just like damage or healing or.
Yeah. All right, so we'll try and watch this fight with this open. Oh god. Oh, it's going too fast. it's hard to use because of this. Let's see. So we have to turn the speed down, I think. We have to scroll all the way down. Okay.
Oh, I guess what we could do is just like show it by like individual.
Yeah, you could just filter it by
versus,
Underlord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could do it on one hero, maybe. Yeah, you could do that too. Invoker loses mechanism aura buff. Whoa! Holy shit!
Tragic.
Underlord uses town portal scroll. It makes the game seem like a card game. Oh, look at all that mechanism aura buff that you just put on everyone. Wow. Oh, attribute aura. There it goes. Yeah. God damn it! Why won't this like stay down at the bottom? It's so annoying. I have to like constantly scroll down here.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
So you can see like there, like huge radiance proc, and the what's our time interval? 2916 ish, 0.5 to 29 like 18. Like that's how much damage radiance did to everything nearby. It sounds like a lot of damage on paper until you realize like each person is taking 60 damage. It's doing a lot of damage to the illusions, but like that's like a bad right click, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not that great. I mean, you could just see it, like how quickly things are getting burnt down. It's like not even like this guy's going to be taking damage, right?
Yeah.
Is he? Is he taking? Yep, there you go. That's a Radiance proc. Doesn't feel super great to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's hard to say. But what it's not showing us is the mischance. So that is relevant. So it's good against PL because, I mean, it's a lot of illusions getting burned down at once. and it's like they do have a lot of right clicks. Like I think Radiance is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think Shiva's is probably better, but Radiance is fine too. Because Shiva's, you have like the big 200 damage nuke, and it's lowering their attack speed. But even that's
Yeah.
hard to measure how much of a difference that's actually making. Because you'd have to take out a calculator, you know, like figure out everybody's attack speed, and then see like what their attack speed changed to, and project what their damage would have been had they not had a Shiva's aura on them. So it's Dota's very, very mathy when you look at it like that, and it's
What do you think of like his talents?
okay. Let's have a look. So I think the first one, Firestorm Radius, is if you're hitting the Firestorm on the hero anyway, then this isn't super relevant. I mean, I guess it makes it slightly harder to walk out of. This would be more useful like against like lots of summons, like a PL. So I think it's good in that instance. The armor is a lot easier to like see, like, okay, that's doing something like very easily. It's like here, I think given their PL Windrunner, Monkey King, Arc Warden, I would have taken armor here. And then Firestorm cooldown versus Pit of Malice AoE. It's kind of the same thing. Like if you're hitting the pit like dead center on them, that AoE doesn't strictly matter. There might be a weird timing thing where if people don't have enough move speed, that 75 units makes them get rooted twice, where they wouldn't have gotten rooted otherwise. I don't know what that move speed is, so that's I think the Firestorm cooldown just offers you more damage, right? And then on 20, so Atrophy Aura attack damage reduction. So it's 30. This is actually kind of a crazy talent if you look at it, what spell it's actually modifying. So let's look at the burn damage first. So 1% Firestorm burn damage. So normally this spell goes up by 0.5, right? I think one useful, let me start this over. So a useful thing to do with talents is look at what the gold cost of that item would be, or what it's effectively equivalent to in terms of skill points, right?
True.
So how much gold does 5 armor cost you? You know, you could just very simply, you could be like, where the hell is Chainmail? Chainmail is 550. Helm of Iron Will is 975, but it has the regen on it. So if we said maybe like 1 chainmail and half of Ring of Protection, you know, so we'll just say like 600, 650. That's about the cost of 5 armor. So that's a 650 armor like gold talent.
Yeah.
One way to look at it. And then for things like this one, Firestorm burn damage 1%, that is it's like getting 2 more levels in Firestorm, except that it's not also modifying the cast range and the cooldown and the mana cost and the wave damage. Because now you're going up to 4%. So, you know, level 5 would have been 3.5, level 6 would have been 4, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, that's a value talent. But if you look at the other one, so 15% Atrophy Aura attack damage reduction, this goes up by 8% per level. Starts at 6 and goes up by 8% per level, and it caps at 30. So if you put an extra 15% on this, it's like putting another 2 more levels on Atrophy Aura, right?
Yeah.
Going from 30 to 45% is quite a jump. And you could say it's a 50% jump because you went from 30 to 45. So that's like super duper value. Whereas the Firestorm burn one, if you want to look at it this way, it's like a 33% bump going from 3 to 4. Going to 30 to 45 is a 50%. Different ways to math it, right?
Yeah.
And then this one, so Pit of Malice route, 0.65 seconds. This normally goes up by 0.2 a level. So this is like adding 3 levels to Pit of Malice. So that's pretty good, right? So all of those are super value. But then you have these other things that are adding in stuff that didn't exist otherwise, right? So Atrophy Aura doesn't normally give anything to your allies, but this 25 talent gives 50% of I think it's 50% of whatever you have to them. So
Yeah,
potentially a
I think that's how it
massive
works.
buff, right? That could
Yeah.
be huge. That could be giving your whole team 100 damage, like really easily. So that one is super value. But you can see like the 25s and the 20s are all like kind of crazy. The 15s and the 10s are like, whatever. I think in this game, I would have taken the armor and I would have taken the Firestorm cooldown like you did. I wouldn't bother with burn damage because they have no strength heroes. They don't have anyone that's particularly tanky.
That's
So
true.
Atrophy Aura would have been my pick here. And then the last one would be based off of like, well, how right clicky is my team? Like, okay, Pango benefits from damage, Legion benefits from damage, Invoker a little bit. Do we need a lot of lockdown? Also, it's level 25. Do they have BKBs? Is this root even a good spell anymore? Probably not. You probably take the one on the left.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a way to look at all those. Like obviously everything is situational and there can be a game where it's like, ooh man, if we only had that extra 1% burn, we would have gotten that kill.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
in general you just look at it like, well, what is this spell good for? Okay, Firestorm good at killing tanky guy, so I upgrade it with talents, make it better, right? If I'm fighting lots of tanks.
Right. That makes sense.
But I don't know. I think Radiant's fine. I think what this decision on like Radiance versus like the Shivas first, I think the Shivas would have been better. Because you are sometimes having mana problems. In some of these fights, you're dying really quickly.
Yeah.
And so the armor might have helped out more than the mischance would have. Like in this instance here, like you got schwacked there, right? This could actually be an instance where we could utilize the combat log and figure out what was killing you, because I think it was magic. To see everything targeting Underlord. I think Flux is, or Spark Wraith is magic, right? Yeah, so you showed up and just took like an ass load of magic damage in this instance. So Shivas wouldn't have helped. Radiance helps a little bit because you're kind of you're debuffing these like Gleipners that are getting shot at you slightly. It's not showing misses though, so it's hard to see.
Yeah.
But I think either of those items is fine. So, like, I guess the other question is, like, did you have the core items you needed? Greaves, that's fine. Crimson Guard, you're against a PL, that makes sense. So then it's just whatever else you want to add on from there. I don't think Ags is super good for the reasons we've talked about.
Yeah.
The Shard probably would have been a good pickup early. Get more waves, that's more PL illusion clear. You can just put it on yourself, which is really helpful against like mobile heroes like PL that can just like doppelganger out of the Firestorm, or Windrunner that can like run out of the thingy. This one, it's kind of like the Doom thing. You just put it on yourself and then you're fine, right? So I would have picked up the Shard. I probably would have gone Shiva's first. I'm wondering if maybe this would have been like a good Eternal Shroud game, actually.
I was gonna look that up later because I was playing earlier, I think, and I was like, when would I really want to get Eternal Shroud now?
I think this could have been good because you are against a mana drain in the PL. You do obviously need a little bit of magic resistance because of how much magic damage. Like they have two Gleipners. They have two Gleipners and two Diffusals. So I think this actually would have been a good Eternal Shroud game. You get mana back. Maybe. Probably also would have been like, might want to grab like a Soul Ring, I don't know. Yeah, I think Eternal Shroud could have been good here. It's odd to say. You don't normally get to buy that item.
Yeah.
You don't need Lincolns or Lotus. I guess you could utilize a BKB for all the mana drains, but also your hero is kind of like one and done. You just kind of cast your spells and then you're done, right?
Right.
So, You don't need a vessel. A drum could have helped your team, but you kind of want your supports to buy that for you. Assault Cuirass would have been nice, actually.
I thought about that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
The only thing is, like, I feel like I mean, not the armor so much, but, like, the attack speed is just, like, whatever for Underlord himself. It helps your team, but...
Well, it can be good for you. So, I mean, when you have to sit here and, like, man fight, you know, Monkey King or PL, like, having attack speed on your hero is good, because you do hit really hard. So, like, one of the two things that prevent Underlord from being like a good right click carry are he doesn't have enough attack speed and he's generally kind of slow on foot. Yeah. So he just doesn't actually get to apply that damage so much. What did Cyrex say? You can always go tread Echo Saber build on Underlord. Well, that's interesting. Just go a completely different direction with it. Don't go Greaves.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I like that idea. That's cool. That's a way you could be more offensive. But I would say...
I didn't think about, like, harpooning into a pit.
That could be a thing. Yeah, you could go freaking tread Echo Harpoon and just be like a pickoff
and then
guy.
if you got the Ags with the slow, that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm. That could be really strong, especially because if you drop the gate, they try and get away from it, and then you just harpoon them. You know, that'd be fun. But I would say in here, like you actually did need some magic resistance because you're not surviving these fights because of these Gleipnirs. So
yeah,
either BKB or Eternal Shroud. I think I would opt for the Eternal Shroud. Probably. I don't know. Do you need a pipe? Yeah. Is it
That's
enough?
what I was thinking, because, like, it is odd sometimes with these, like, mixed damage heroes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, they don't have a ton of magic damage, but, I mean, Arc Ward kind of does shit out magic damage.
It's also, I mean, if you look at what pipe actually does, it's really not even that good. Like, this item is incredibly overhyped, I think. Like, the barrier of 450 damage is obviously great against nukes and stuff. But, I mean, other than that, it's giving your team 10% magic resistance. Like, woohoo! You know, that's not...
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about 10%, right? I mean, it all adds up. True, but this item is not as good as it used to be. This thing used to give, like, what, 30% to yourself? And, like, did you give, like, 20 or something to your whole team? I don't even remember, but it's been nerfed so many times. It's just not great. 10% magic resistance off a Gleipnir proc is, like, whatever, right? That's, you're bringing their 160 magic damage down by 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Woohoo! It doesn't sound like that much, but... And that's why these aura items are kind of only good if the game is, like, really well balanced anyway. You know? Like, everyone's kind of playing up to par, and they're doing optimized item builds, and they're all, like, leveled to where they should be, and all that stuff. Then it's like, okay, 10% starts to make a difference. But when you end up in these games that are, like, one-way stomps, it's like... It just doesn't matter. It's not significant enough. That's why these probably a big reason why these like playmaking heroes work a lot better for you, because it's kind of like really easy to identify like how they're having an impact. Like he blinked in and that guy died. Like easy. Very well understood. Like it's not this like, well, if you math the whole fucking team fight out and it lasted 30 seconds longer, then it's like, ooh. No, because that's half these fights are just stupid anyway. They're like, not all the heroes are there. People are starting half health, or they don't have enough mana, or whatever. Like it's just like dumb to begin with. So why try and optimize it? But that's me, and I'm a simple man. I don't know. This would be a good place to maybe gate too, by the way. I guess, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think yeah, okay, now you're doing it. Hiya, I'm here. Yeah, I think it's a little bit faster on these. In a few instances would have been helpful. Either to help your team escape or to show up to fight faster.
Yeah.
There's been a few. But that would be the general advice there. It's just, I don't know. I guess just if you want to play more Underlord, just be willing to use this more often. I think like in the
Yeah.
lane phase, skip it. Like take this on like level 14 or something, or maybe I don't know, maybe like level 12 or whatever. Just skip this spell for a really long time, and then when you're in this phase of the game where like all the outer towers are dead and it's a lot of like split pushing and team fights, then you start taking
Yeah.
it to like show up, like just play it like Dawnbreaker or try and save people
Yeah.
with it. Yeah, but no, I don't hate the Radiance. It's fine. This is, yeah, as we said, he's not high impact. There's not really a lot of other stuff you can build with him. Like he gets to buy whatever he wants because it's so easy for him to farm waves. But it's like, well, what do you actually buy, right? I mean, you could just try going a right-click build. It's not good,
Yeah.
but it's fun. But I don't know. Maybe with Echo Saber and Harpoon being so good, maybe it would be better now. Like maybe you could go like Basher Underlord with that shit. You know, like that might be hog. Because like Harpoon's been in the game for how long now, and people are like just starting to figure out how good it is, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's a whole other different direction we can go with Underlord.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you, like, you could, like, just fucking perma-pit somebody with, like, Hit, Atos, Harpoon.
Yeah.
And they just have to sit there and get hit, you know?
Right. Until they get a BKB, then they don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. That's true.
Hence, Basher, the most fun item in the game. I love Basher, dude. I would buy Basher on every hero if it was viable. You guys are getting super Roche control. That's cool. Okay, we used the gate. Nice. Yeah, that was good usage there. I was going to say, you probably need the gate for middle. This heart made a big difference in survivability, actually.
Yeah.
The heart and the Martyr's Plate helped a lot. Once you got some magic resistance and more health.
Yeah, the heart felt like a really good purchase. It
Yeah.
felt like, okay, now we can probably go.
Right. What is going on? This fight's chaotic. Cool. Yeah, so that was actually sort of your win con. Once you're able to actually survive fights with heart and everything like that. So I would say in that instance, it didn't look like the Radiance was helping you live that much more.
Yeah.
And you were dying a lot in those fights. I mean, you took 173,000 damage. So that's, I mean, you're doing your job, right? But
Yeah.
maybe the items needed to be like, instead of this Radiance, maybe you pick up the Shivas first, or you pick up the Heart, something like that. Because an early Heart is really annoying to deal with. Someone grabs Heart
Yeah.
like first or second item, that shit is stupid. You just can't kill them.
Yeah.
So maybe like Greaves, Crimson Guard, Heart, and then buy these other items maybe would have been good. What did Cybrick say? Amara is doing the Treads Echo Saber build on this turd. Cybrick hates Underlord. Yeah, maybe that'd be fun to try. I don't know. Maybe try like in an unranked, you know? Go
Yeah.
try Treads Echo Saber Harpoon. You're gonna have mana problems though with that, so you might want to throw in like you might still throw in a Soul Ring or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then you have no health regen. Maybe you have to go Vanguard anyway. I don't know. You'd have to play with it. But
Yeah.
I would say maybe just avoid this hero because he's boring and dull,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Let's.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's like I can do similar things with like Tidehunter with a lot more active.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah, your spells do
now,
stuff.
yeah. You know, and I mean the ultimate is still like kind of a little bit more team based, but it's not like it's obvious. Like you go in there, they're gonna be stunned.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh well maybe we go to this objective or we show up to this fight or we need to get away.
Yeah. Oh, another thing to think about, because we were only looking at the aura items like Radiance and Crimson Guard and all that stuff from your perspective. We'd have to look at every team fight from everyone's perspective.
Yeah.
You know, be like, ooh, did Invoker survive because of my Crimson Guard buff? Whatever, right? It's
Yeah.
really hard to parse that out. But I would say one thing is the Radiance didn't make a big difference, and it felt like the Shivas and the Heart and all that stuff made a much larger difference.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the idea of Radiance, but I think it's maybe you just needed to buy that later in the item order.
Yeah. What do you think is it like Spectre? Like is that the best like use of Radiance?
Like, who's the best like Radiance hero?
Yeah, like what it like yeah, who like
Naga.
actually gets the most? Yeah, Naga.
It's probably Naga, but I don't know. This item keeps getting nerfed.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember back in the day it just used to be like everyone wanted to buy Radiance like
yeah,
on every hero.
I remember Weaver Radiance and Lifestealer Radiance. Weird stuff.
Yeah, it was dark times.
Yeah, I think it's Naga. Spectre Radiance is okay. It's good at canceling blinks, but her item buildup is so bad going straight for Radiance that it's just like not
Yeah.
really viable. I don't know. This item sucks. It can be really. I remember in the past, and that might have been when the item was better. This item was good on melee heroes that were expecting to get kited a lot. So it
Yeah.
was good on like a Wraith King,
Yeah.
like against like a Drow or something. It's like, oh, everyone's gonna
Yeah.
kite you, so you just burn them down, right? But I think it just
Yeah.
doesn't do. Maybe it does the same damage it used to, but I don't know. Whatever.
That's another hero I remember everybody playing, and I don't feel like I see that.
Yeah, Wraith King.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. On paper, he should be really good this batch, right? Like, oh wow, he can jungle early and he's okay being alone. Like, that sounds great. Yeah, I think Radiance is just like Cyberx saying the same thing. I think Radiance is not that good right now.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea. I think this is like a good game to buy one, you know. But
Yeah.
you just had to buy this later. That's all.
Yeah, it felt like in my head I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Like this is if I was gonna buy
Hmm.
fucking Radiance on Underlord, this would be the game to do it.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool. Here's another thing. I can't do it. I can't look at the breakdowns. But if you have Dota Plus, you could go to this tab and look at breakdowns and just click yourself and just look at how much damage you actually did with Radiance.
Yeah,
I can't see it for some stupid reason, but that's a really easy way to see if you're having impact with something. Like, how much damage did I actually
Yeah.
do with Shivas? How much damage did I do with Radiance? How much damage did I do with Firestorm? Whatever. Okay. So there's that one. So maybe pick up Radiance after Heart Shivas. And then how could we have closed the game out earlier? So using ult more often to pick off or scare off split pushers and show up to team fights that you're too far away from. So that could have been those moments would accelerate the game, because if you go in and win a
Yeah.
fight, that accelerates the game. You stop them split pushing, that gets you back into like pushing them, right? So I think those
Yeah.
could have been good ones. Other than that, I mean, it was just like you guys got Roche and then you took a fight and ran up high ground, so it's kind of like whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Probably maybe picking up the heart earlier.
Yeah, but also this. So I wasn't really paying attention to it, but you have to look at how these heroes function. So Monkey King can be a really good split pusher because he just jumps in the trees. Arc Warden, obviously one of the best split pushers in the game. Warlock is decent high ground defense. Like, you don't really want to fight into golems, you know. They have good wave clear with Arc Warden and Windrunner. They could just burst your wave down, and then PL as well can kind of do a little bit of those things. Not so much with the wave clear, but he can be annoying. So their whole comp is based around like stalling and getting to late game.
Yeah.
So the best way to win these games is to figure out like, okay, which heroes do we have that can actually like go pick off these split pushers, like an Arc Warden or something, and go play
Yeah.
with them and smoke with them. So in this game, it would be like Legion and Pangolier. Like actually, your team is great for doing this. Like you have a great counter team to what they're doing. Pudge, Invoker, Legion, Pango, they're all great at like dealing with this kind of stuff. Maybe Pudge the least. So it would just be more smokes grouping up and looking to pick these guys off constantly, and maybe using your ult to like deal with split pushers and all that stuff. Just being more mobile on the map is how you would like accelerate this. And then ult on 6, good idea. Well, in this game you didn't take it, but I would say generally no. It's probably not a good idea because of the things we mentioned. Massive cooldown, massive mana cost. The enemy team can see it, and like if you go and take that skill point and use it and it doesn't do anything, that just kind of feels bad. And you probably would have rather had levels in your other spells that actually do things. Like I think it's probably like if you can just max like Root Firestorm, get like a couple points in Atrophy Aura by like 10, you know, that's probably pretty good. Because that's a lot of root and damage and everything. All right. Any other questions about any of that?
No.
Okay.
I think I think since those games I've been playing like the more kind of like direct impact heroes and having a lot more luck.
Yeah, I think Underlord is gonna you're gonna find it's in the same style as like a Necro or a Doom, which is boring, right? But
I kind of wish I knew how to play like the zoo offlaners. I feel like they're never not strong.
Yeah, no, Beastmaster's been broken forever. That'd be a good one to practice, for sure.
I practiced at one point, but it's just like I can get I don't know. Who do you think is the easiest of them?
Of like summoning guys?
Yeah.
I think Beastmaster's not terribly difficult to play. Like because like I mean what do we have for options here? We got Broodmother is one of them. Lone Druid. I think Lone Druid is actually quite difficult to play, even though he only has one thing to micro.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of really important that you micro that correctly. Whereas like Broodmother, like if you don't micro a spider correctly, like who gives a shit, right? Meepo obviously is like kind of difficult. What are our other options? I think Brewmaster's not too difficult to play. You just box select all of them and you tab through them and use your abilities. It's really not that bad. Lycan, I think, is pretty reliant on those wolves early. So I think he's actually kind of difficult to play. And later it doesn't matter so much. Visage, also pretty reliant on those actually doing something.
Yeah.
I think Beastmaster in particular, first off, doesn't even have to go Wild Boar. He can just do an Axis build. And then second, the Hawk isn't microed. You just send it somewhere and it sits there.
Yeah.
And so it's just a little range creep, which you can just select with your hero and just right click on stuff. Like it's not hard to micro at all. And then on top of that, you have Primal Roar, which is like one of the best spells in the game anyway. So his kit is so goddamn good that even if he didn't have this spell, he would still be a strong hero, right?
Yeah.
So this Beastmaster is probably the one you'd want to pick for that if you want to learn like the Zoo offlane. Oh, and then obviously Nature's Prophet, not that hard to play either. You don't have to really micro them a lot. These heroes, it's going to help a lot if you have like keybinds set up for them.
That's the thing that's kind of hard. I guess I just got to like sit down and like really figure that out.
Yeah, so if you end up playing that, like we can go over that a little bit. Like I don't play a lot of micro heroes either because my hotkeys are not optimized for it. They're optimized for playing the other 100 heroes. So, but a couple that I use, so I have like space selects my hero, and I can just double click that to go back to myself.
Yeah.
Select all control units. I hit that on Alt A, so it just grabs everything. Super simple. And then don't want to push that button. Cancel. Holy shit! Almost reset everything. And then if you go into the advanced hotkeys, select all other units. I have that on C. Because I realized I wasn't using that button for anything. So I'm like, oh, I'll just pick this one. So if that were the case, this would pick like, you're playing Lycan, you press C, it picks all your wolves and you're like your Helm Dom creep and not your hero. So you can just go like space C, and just switch back and forth between this. And then obviously you have like tabbing to select things. and then obviously just good mouse movement, clicking on the unit you want to control and doing that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. I
Those are
think
some simple ones.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it.
Hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Where? Yeah. I was looking at control groups, and that's something I don't really have. Oh, they're okay. So the control groups are there. Okay, that's probably something I need to like
Those would help a lot too.
figure out. Yeah, tab and then previous unit. I don't have a cycle back thing.
Yeah, tab's a really simple one. If you want to do control groups, that means like usually you're going to put those on numbers, which means you can't use those for your
Yeah.
items and stuff. But that would be a really good way to play like a Meepo, for instance, right? Because you just have like one
Yeah.
Meepo on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You could just micro like crazy, like you're playing an RTS. But then you got to figure out what to do with your items. I notice a lot of pros, what they do is they have like QWER, all that crap. Then they put their items on the same keys. So they'll do like Alt Q, Alt W, Alt E. Like that's how they do their items, which is crazy to me, but
Yeah.
that's what they do. And then that lets them use all their numbers for stuff. I just put my items on numbers. I don't care.
Yeah, I do the same thing. But that's interesting. Well, wait. Don't isn't I guess they probably changed that too, like your self casting.
What about it?
Maybe it for me that's alt, whatever my spell is. So alt Q would be
Oh,
casting on myself.
yeah. I have double tap ability to self cast, and then where's the other one? Self cast. Yeah, I remember seeing a modifier for that somewhere. I don't remember where it is right now.
Oh, okay. Wait, holding down alt when pressing an ability or item will trigger a double tap. So that's smart double tap.
Is that in options? Oh,
That's in hockey options
hotkey options.
in the advanced.
Am I freaking blind?
Smart double tap right under double tap ability.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that turned on. That would make
Interesting.
that would invalidate all of that other stuff we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have it
Okay.
on double tap. Oh, another one. I don't know if this is ever a problem for you, but turning on teleport requires hold stop. That could be quite nice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
'Cause I fuck that up sometimes. I'm like shift queuing too quickly and I just cancel my own
Yeah.
teleport. So that one helped a lot. All right. Anyway, so got all those questions answered, and then I guess what would be easiest micro hero? Beastmaster. Hooray.
Yeah.
Or Brewmaster. I think Brewmaster is not hard to play either. Okay. So what should we do for homework? I think abandon Underlord.
Yeah.
You know,
Good homework.
I mean, unless you want to learn it like you were trying to learn before, like trying to learn these completely different styles, then keep playing it. But other than that, if you're just focusing on like climbing and like mastering the stuff you're already good at, then I think you just focus on that stuff.
Yeah. I think if we're gonna do something or we're learning something, I mean I kinda do like the idea of learning the zoo heroes.
Okay. All right.
So maybe like playing some Beastmaster.
All right. Now do it in unranked though,
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
because you keep kind of resetting your progress every time you do that in ranked, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
For ranked, I would stick to the
Yeah,
to
we'll
the
stick
stuff
to
you know, right?
what we got now.
Blink heroes and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you can think like you might be worth working on, or just keep it simple?
Nothing's really come up, so there's nothing off the top of my head to be like, oh yeah, like this has been a problem for me to work. I need to work.
Okay.
So I mean, I think generally like I'm after playing like Doom, the good thing has been like coming back to these heroes. Now I'm doing like a lot of things that I should have been doing. So just like
being more efficient, farming in between, being ready for fights and positioning and stuff like
That's good. Okay, that's good to hear. Like you see, it's kind of I don't know what the word is. The skills are transferring between different
that. Yeah,
heroes.
yeah.
Good, 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 good. Okay, cool. Well then, yeah. Let's see some unranked Beastmaster games for next week then, and then see some more of the
Do it.
Blink heroes and ranked. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. If that was helpful, don't forget to like the video. Check out the playlist at the end of the video with the other coaching videos. I got 17 other videos in this series. And leave a comment down below if you have any like suggestions on how to make the format better, or maybe there's like a specific hero you'd like to see or something like that. And other than that, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.